People don't just think as individuals, we think as groups, families, companies, nations. Each one carries its own script for how to act when things get uncertain. But here's the problem: not all scripts agree. One culture prizes stability, another prizes innovation, and another falls back on loyalty to the strongest. When stress hits, these scripts don't line up, they clash, and the clash decides whether a society adapts or breaks. ACTFO identifies three broad cultural strategies, each with strengths, each with fatal weaknesses. Group-oriented cultures. Here, stability is the prize. People conform to tradition, and deviation is punished first with ostracism, then with law. These cultures endure through famine, war, and hardship, so long as change is slow. But when the pace of change accelerates, group-oriented societies crack. Their strength becomes brittleness. Individual-oriented cultures. Here, innovation is the prize. People are free to experiment, to rebel, to create. These cultures thrive in times of rapid change, where entrepreneurship and adaptation are survival skills. But without a strong rule of law, without rights guaranteed and enforced, individualism collapses into chaos. The very freedom that fuels innovation becomes the seed of instability. Tribal-oriented cultures. This is regression mode. When individuals can't survive alone, they band together into factions. Loyalty to the group replaces loyalty to law. Corruption flourishes. Justice is whatever the strong can enforce. Tribal cultures can survive existential threats, but only at small scales, and only by consuming themselves in cycles of revenge. History is littered with these collisions. For example, Tokugawa Japan, 1603 to 1868. For over 2 centuries, rigid hierarchy and isolation preserved stability. But when Western gunboats arrived and industrial change accelerated, the very rigidity that had ensured survival became brittleness. The shogunate collapsed, and the Meiji Restoration swept it aside. Post-Soviet Russia, 1990s. The fall of the USSR unleashed a burst of individual freedom and entrepreneurial energy, but without strong rule of law or guarantee rights, innovation collapsed into chaos. Corruption and oligarchic power flourished, and freedom itself became fragility. Yugoslavia, 1990s. As national governance dissolved, survival reverted to ethnic and regional factions. Tribal loyalty replaced law, corruption spread, and violence escalated into atrocities. What remained was not governance, but factional survival. The pattern is clear. Individual-oriented cultures can only survive if they anchor themselves in rights and law. Without that anchor, they collapse into tribalism. Group-oriented cultures may endure longer, but they stagnate under rapid change. Tribal cultures survive only in the shadow of collapse. The payoff. Civilization isn't a straight line of progress. It's a sequence of cultural scripts, each with strengths and predictable failure modes. ACTFO doesn't tell us which script is best. It shows us when action no longer follows evidence and surfaces the hidden factor driving the drift. When stability hardens into brittleness, ACTFO reveals the unspoken reliance on tradition as the third factor. When innovation slips into chaos, ACTFO uncovers the missing anchor of law and rights. When loyalty replaces justice, ACTFO exposes the factional script that overrides governance. That's the mechanism. Discover the qualitative factor behind the mismatch, make it visible, and give people the chance to discipline it before collision becomes collapse.